even probable. We're about to take a journey into the outer realms.
Sinister Mysteries edition number 49.
One more and we're debuting the new opening.
Oh, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. You're going to get in trouble for that, dude.
No.
I'm so blind. I got to wear my glasses. It kind of ruins the effect of the steampunk hat, but I may change hats a few times during the show.
I was not prepared, by the way, to do a Kylo Ren impersonation, so...
That's okay. You texted me and said, like, you're going to be Batman, right? And then you
well, you showed me, and I'm like, okay, you have to do it in the voice. I'm like, then I was just...
Yeah, that's my Michael Keaton mask that I got probably like 20 years ago. So
that's awesome.
Everybody, welcome. Urban Legends, totally fun. But I think some of these are kind of scary as hell, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's, I said, because I think, we'll be talking about these things. These are a lot of them, these have been, as we discuss these ones, people are going to start noticing that Hollywood uses a lot of these stories for, just kind of, they intermix. And Joey actually came up with a really cool lineup. They actually, especially when I was doing the research, I could see the natural flow between them. Yeah. That you're coming, just not only the names involved and stuff, it's like, that works, as you're leading into the next one. So so welcome. Yeah, keep it up, Craig. Yeah, like I said, it's my son. We got this one for him. Like I said, it's actually, it has I think the battery's dead on it, but it actually has a voice, thing. So that's we're Star Wars nerds.
Yeah, and that, there you go, La Llorona.
La Llorona.
Security captain. So you're going to talk about her a little tonight.
Yep, that's going to be one of the ones. That's the last one that we have on the thing here too. And so, sit back, enjoy your candy if you have some. I said, in your beverage of choice.
Craig, in between each segment, is going to ask the audience your favorite this or your favorite that, or do you prefer this from column A or this from column B? So join in; it helps us out in the algorithms and. We love your participation. So, Craig, you want to our first three are almost like how can you do Urban Legends in America without doing these three? So, you're going to start us off with the Hookman.
The Hookman legend. The first, let's do a little housekeeping real quick. Everybody, if you do us a favor, like, subscribe. We got to get YouTube to 1,000. What's going to help us? 500 is going to help us interact with the audience a lot more too. So if everybody just goes over to Joey Medea channel and just subscribe, just hit the notification. It's one of those, even if you guys just prefer Facebook, if you could just log into, YouTube, and all you're doing is you're doing us a favor. That's all. And so,
we're doing them a favor, because if we get 99 more subscribers on YouTube, which I'm going to put in the chat room, folks, it's at Every Day Is a Story. That's the easiest way to find it. You can find it through my name too, Joey Medea, but just go to at Every Day Is a Story. If we get 99 more subscribers, we can do polls during the show, which will be fun.
Yep. And that'll be that one. So that's enough. So enough of that. Let's get to the stories. That's why everybody's here. All right.
And Batman said that they have to do all those things, Craig. So
God,
listen to Batman.
Messing with my camera. I keep messing with my camera. I apologize, everybody.
Did that move on its own?
No, it's attached. I'm attached.
Use it. It's
I know. Ooh, ghost. Sorry. All right. So there's different versions of this tale that exist. I'm going to put this out here to make it easier.
Oh, hey, we got a new subscriber already. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori. Yep, that's
just how easy it is.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And just like I said, even if you prefer Facebook, just come right, come back. That's just
go right
do it
back.
real quick. Yeah. So thanks for doing that.
All
so
right,
this usually surrounds like a common theme of a couple that's off, making out in the woods, doing, and so what will happen is during this time, during the passionate, youthful making out sessions, they'll usually start with a sound. It'll be scratching, something, outside, to where at first the occupants of the car think it's branches, a bush, something, or maybe a small animal. But then it proceeds to sound more and more ominous, to where, as the tales go, the lovers become, panicky and decide to leave. Well, in these stories, they fail to realize that an object has been lodged inside the vehicle. They egg the hook, which is basically the binding of the creature, the sinister Hookman, to them, who follows them home. And as the movies show, brutal slaughtering begins, at the couple's location, or because the female decides to run off in the woods in her high heels. And as the boyfriend comes out, he gets taken out first. And then, you have the obligatory chase scene in the horror movies. So but this Supernatural, for anybody that's a Supernatural fan, this was featured in their first season on the 7th episode. They had a Hookman character.
Most of these were Supernatural episodes.
Almost
everyone we're talking about tonight, because they're so ingrained, and the whole Hook thing. Like, it's Halloween, so Angus is going to have to make an appearance, like in the final little bit of the show. But pirates used bailing hooks to like grabbed ropes and move things around a ship, and you would hold that, and so it looked like a hook hand. Any man who was in the nautical trade that lost a hand would get paid off, because they couldn't do their job anymore, so they had to go find something else to do. So there weren't people walking around with hooks. So Hookman seems to be an extension of that whole lore of the very scary dude. And I think about the Grindhouse films where Rose McGowan's got the machine gun on her.
Yeah, it's the things that, because what's scary, because it's a perfect tale. I mean, it's like you see somebody walking down the road with, like you said, walking down the street, he's got that hook. It looks ominous. I mean, they even tied this through Tony Todd's role in Candyman. Was the same thing that they did. Legend on this one. The origins for Hookman seem to go back to the 1950s, where the teenage stories where a lunatic escaped from a Pennsylvania, insane asylum, and this thing, this also tied into around that time, in the late 1940s, there was the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. That was done by, I think I'm gonna butcher his first name. I think it's UL Lee Sweeney was the guy that was rumored to have been. He was only convicted of burglary, I think is what it said, but he was never convicted of these things. And 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 I want to say the Texarkana was 5 or 6 things, and it was and the targeted people were couples in the same scenario where they were off isolated, and the first couple escaped, this guy, the attack, but the identities were always interchanged. Like I think the first attack, they said it was a black man. The other one said it was a tanned white guy. And so it's like, they never really, I think it's still unsolved at this point, if I'm not mistaken, this one's, and it really cemented itself into what's for the show, the urban legend really cemented in everybody's psyche, after Dear Abby featured a column.
Oh.
Yeah. And this is in 1960. And this one was, somebody, put out their tale of the Hookman type thing. And then this is where, at that point, it really cemented itself into the lore and became the legend that is the Hookman.
Very cool. And my favorite version, you're going to be a tough act to follow tonight, sir. That was awesome. When they drive away and they thought they got safe, and they get out of the car and the hook is embedded in the car. I think that's my because you don't know what the hell happened, how close you came to death. But you want to hit the audience with the first survey question?
Yeah. Well, we'll go with this one. So everybody, just put it here. What's the worst Halloween candy for everybody? This is where the poll works out great. But just, is it circus peanuts, candy corn, or Smarties? Put it in the comments.
I love 2 of the 3 of those.
Circus peanuts is for me.
Say.
The circus peanuts for me are just nasty. Those are just orange flavored styrofoam.
I agree. Those are the ones that I don't. They taste like hydrogenated oil.
Well, everybody
Candy
hates on
corn.
candy corn. And I'm like I said, I know I'm biasing the poll here, but I'm telling you, it's like it for me. It really comes down to the circus peanuts or the chalky Smarties. Like I said, those are the two out of the three there. But for me, candy corn is a heavenly nectar sent to us by the gods. I
I'm
absolutely love
with you,
candy corn.
man.
Yeah.
We've had 3 candy dishes full of it over the course of October, and then we won't touch it again.
The autumn mix from Brock's. Autumn mix is the best one. That's the one that has the pumpkins,
Yes,
has the chocolate candy corn, and then the regular candy corn. And
Right
Brock's is the
on.
best brand. You can come at me, bros or broettes. I don't care. Brock's is the brand. So that's the one. So
I'm with you. That's what we were doing, but I didn't have any chocolate ones, so I'm going to move on to Bloody Mary, and it's going to be pretty quick. I have one that I'm going to lay on a little. The other ones are pretty quick, so we can keep talking about cool stuff because we're almost a quarter way through our first hour. Bloody Mary, which Beetlejuice is out now, and Beetlejuice is really the manifestation of Bloody Mary in another context. But so it's basically everybody knows it. That's why we had to cover it tonight. But it's a ghost of a woman who appears in a mirror when her name is chanted 3 times in a dimly lit or candlelit room. And I have some mood lighting tonight, so I'm not going to say her name 3 times because I'm here alone and I don't need that crap. The origin of Bloody Mary is in European folklore. It may be a woman accused of witchcraft called Mary Worth, but I really think it's Queen Mary the First who went by the moniker or was received the moniker of Bloody Mary. Craig, I didn't know this before. A few days ago. This is tied to Victorian era rituals. I'll be curious if anyone in the audience is familiar with this. There was a tradition where a young woman would walk backwards upstairs with a candle, and the object was to try to catch a glimpse of her future husband. But if this poor young lady saw a skull, then that meant that she was doomed to die unmarried. That's almost more scary to me than Bloody Mary herself. Some young girl finding out that she's destined, talk about self-fulfilling prophecy. So this is also tied to mirror gazing legends, mirrors being portals to parallel universes. So black mirrors are scrying. I have a mirror that Joe Red Miles and Rosemary Ellen Guiley made for me, a scrying mirror. I have it back behind me. And I've had some interesting experiences with that. But the things that I tend to see on the rare occasion, I do all the cleansing and everything you're supposed to do it all, are freaky. I think just because they're not coming in clearly, and I'm not sure what they are. And the last thing I want to say before Craig hits you with our next question, and thank you for all the cool answers. Teenagers are a theme tonight as a very vulnerable population to urban legends that, Craig, I really think by the end of tonight, folks will see that this is incredibly topical and may actually become something we have to contend with more and more. But they use it as a test of courage. They use it as a Halloween party game. When I was a kid growing up in North Jersey in the poor section of town across the tracks, we were bored and we had a lot to prove. So we would do things like jump off of trestle bridges or stand on the tracks as the train was coming for as long as we do all kinds of things to test our courage, or simply as a Halloween party game, which again, we're not going to do here. And when she does manifest, she might scratch you, she might curse you, or she might kill you. And with that, Craig, back to you.
Yeah. Before we get to the next question too, is for that one, really think about it. Just so some of these urban legends, do you feel that you can almost manifest something into reality to where it's like you can make something up? Because there's one of those things. It's like you said, Beetlejuice. Does anybody really believe that? I just said it. He's going to come out of the ground. I'm the ghost of the most, babe. Do you really think that's going to all happen? It's like no, but it's one of those. Just like when everybody gets like in a dark room, a circle, and your energy is all focused. Does something either mimic what that is? Like you said, where that's in the paranormal thing where you get the scratches,
Yep.
And that's where I'm curious, like for your take, Joey, but also everybody else in the audience. I mean, do you feel like some of these things? It's not so much that there's a real Bloody Mary or there's a real creature that you're summoning, other than there might be something that just mimics it because it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
To do something.
Can we put this off till my next one? Because I think.
Oh yeah, I absolutely.
It's kind of contained in it. So if you want to do your Vanishing Hitchhiker, Lady in White, after you ask a question, definitely ask another question. We're going to talk about that with Slender Man because it's all over the place.
Yeah, this one is, it's kind of like what we've just been talking about. All right, for anybody that hasn't seen it, I'm sorry, this question doesn't apply to you, but do you feel the sequel to Beetlejuice was as good or nowhere near the first one? My bias that I'm going to throw in there is I thought it was pretty comparable to the first.
Really?
I really liked it.
Huh, this is going to be the thing you and I disagree on.
Yeah, I just, which is because one of those things I just liked it, and I just liked it in general. It was just fun. It was just fun. It's like it wasn't the storyline. I mean, it's just like anything. It's like you can't really compare it to the original storyline because it's just when you have something that's brand new, it's like kind of like Ghostbusters. It's like the original Ghostbusters is by far, the peak. And then when you get down to the other ones, it's like they're great. Will they ever achieve this one? Like I said, I don't think the second one was anywhere near the level of the first, but I thought it was a great movie. I would recommend people seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely, they should see it. It's wonderful because I'm a movie soundtrack geek. So to listen to the opening titles and end titles of the original, and to listen how far Danny Elfman's come and how music soundtracks have changed. I love the soundtrack. I'm a huge Monica Bellucci fan. I'm a huge Justin Theroux fan. I thought that Catherine O'Hara totally killed it. I loved what Winona did. I will tell you, I am one of the biggest Michael Keaton fans on the planet. Like, I will defend Jack Frost, which killed his career for a long time. I thought it was a great movie. It was very cool. I'm not sure what happened with the frosted haircut, but he was one of the guys, Craig, that when I was in high school made me want to be an actor. That's how much I love Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
and I was really disappointed in this Beetlejuice. He was slower. He wasn't as physically. So that
was it his age? Thing. Was it his age because of how much older he was? Or is it just? Did he kind of mail it in? I don't know. So that's that one. I've got another good one that just it involves a guy that Joey just mentioned a little bit. So we'll remember that one. So it's about his thing. So Vanishing Hitchhiker. This is also another one that is a well-known urban legend that has many different versions too. That's this one, the earliest that through the research that I could find, one of the earliest tales that I can go back to is ancient Rome, where this and that time to where people would be traveling around and they would be a trickster god, or another god would, disguised as a human, would hand out wisdom or tricks, or do something to where they were is basically their way of kind of amusing themselves with with the lower, with humanity. And that's where that started. But one of the ones that most people, I think a lot of people probably it's the story of Resurrection Mary. That's the one that a lot of people recognize. And this takes place outside of Chicago in Justice, Illinois, is where a lot of this takes place. These accounts have been told since the 1930s, and what happens is driver is driving down its road called Archer Avenue, and as you're driving down Archer Avenue, you come upon excuse me. You come on Resurrection Mary, who's taking me over right now. You find a young woman in a white dress, blonde hair with blue eyes, and is looking for a ride on the side of the road. And as most of the stories are, the guy struck by her beauty pulls over and says, "Fair maiden, get inside my vehicle." Or as modern day is, it's like, "Yo, babe, you looking hot, get in here." It's like they do this. So they stop, they pick up the hot girl along the side of the road because, guys, hey. And what they do is, as they continue on down the road, they approach a place called Resurrection Cemetery. And it's at this moment that, especially in this legend, she's vanished. She's no longer inside the car. And so, yeah, the words get stuck in my throat. Yeah, I'm getting verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic.
She doesn't want you talking about her, maybe.
I know. Yeah, quit telling the tales.
Yeah.
So this one, so the tale starts with a young woman named Mary was attending a party, a ball at that time during the 1920s. And after leaving, she was struck and killed by a hit and run driver.
Yeah.
And buried in this Resurrection Cemetery. And so this is almost like a Groundhog's Day thing where she's in a continuous loop trying to get to her destination, but she's obviously the car is a key piece. She's hit, taken in the car, but she disappears before getting to the cemetery. And it's kind of like just an endless thing. And there's many, there's different variations to this one, but that it kind of goes down to the same thing where the vanishing hitchhiker, that's the tale, is where it's somebody that is, you'll hear tales all the time of truckers that are going down the road and they've got a hitchhiker out there and they stop. And as the person's climbing in, they're like chatting, they look over something, they come by, gone. The passenger completely gone. And so, some of them, is it methamphetamine induced, because keeping yourself awake? It's, who knows? But yes, I think there's definitely some tales, because there's some people that actually, if you research them, they actually have some pretty detailed, like what they look like, what they do and stuff. So yeah, they're Stephen King level, creativity, if they're able to come up with all this stuff, just, stories. But yeah, stories are pretty good. So that's the vanishing hitchhiker for me.
Not only are they ancient, but they're international. So you and I have both had the great honor to have Lopaka Kapanui, the award-winning Hawaiian storyteller, on our shows. And he tells a terrific version in his book. It's the most chilling version that I've ever read. And there's Asian versions of this. Every culture has the lady in white, and it's a very similar story. And sometimes the driver will go up to the house, like the girl will take them all the way to the house. And so they'll actually go to the house and talk to a parent or a grandparent, and they'll say, "Oh, that was my daughter, and she died a year ago tonight." It's really creepy if that's the truth. So yeah, pretty crazy. So Craig, Tulpas, Hatman, someone was talking about Hatman, someone was talking about creepypasta, someone was talking about Thin Man. This all constellates around something scary as hell because people died. And this is the Slender Man phenomenon. Now, I think it was King who said a lot of these things seem to manifest in the late 80s, early 90s. Stay with me. That was the beginning of the tech age, the internet, all that kind of stuff. It's a little early for that, but it's certainly for tech. Joe Redmile says the Empty Man is a great take on tulpas. So I did an episode, guys, if you want to go back and find it, I did a solo show about tulpas, Hatman, all of that kind of stuff. Craig, I do believe that if you put enough energy in, you can manifest some of this stuff, but I'll try to take it as we go. So June 2009, a guy named Eric Knudsen, who went by the name of Victor Surge, posted 2 photoshopped images of a tall, thin, featureless faced creature haunting children on the online forum Something Awful. Knudsen drew from horror paranormal tropes. So he pulled in the Men in Black. He pulled in Lovecraft's old ones, which there's rumors, Craig. I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, that he actually saw these things. He was writing about things that he was privy to in another. Yeah. Which is also tulpas, these kinds of things, shadow people. The Fresno Nightcrawler 2014, I think, has something to owe to Slender Man. I know you covered that on a mini episode.
That's a Fresno Nightcrawler.
Yeah, nice, right there. Mothman, of course, who's near and dear to my heart. So he pulls the tropes of all tropes of urban legend, shadow people, telpos, all this stuff. Within weeks, this thing jumps the frame and it starts making the rounds, and all of a sudden it appears in thousands of short stories. There's all kinds of graphic images posted on creepypasta, on 4chan. It takes over. But then people start reporting seeing this thing in the woods, in bedrooms, on their computers, all over the world, right? So here's where it gets serious. 5 years later, there are two 12-year-old girls, and I'll try to go quickly here. They claim in 2014 that Slender Man made them stab their friend.
Yes.
Here's a very strange thing. There's a woman named Heidi Hollis, and she's all about Hat Man. Hat Man is creepy AF, and here's why Hat Man is creepy. He's a manifestation or a more detailed version almost of shadow people, which are also I've seen some shadow people, and I've seen some in top hats. Hat Man can spontaneously change ethnicities, sexes, and Hat Man will drain people's soul over repeated visitations to the point where they want to kill themselves. So Heidi Hollis writes this book about Hat Man. It's not about Slender Man. She lives 15 minutes away from where these two girls attempt to kill their friend, and the book came out, I think, 2 weeks before this thing happened. So that's really, really creepy. So this was Anissa Weier and Morgan Geyser. Folks, watch Beware the Slender Man. I watched it several times, I think, on Max back when it was still HBO, but it's called Beware the Slender Man. You definitely want to check out this doc. They plotted against Lord and attacked their best friend. And so they went to prison. Well, no, they went to mental institutions. They were found not guilty by reason of insanity. Originally, they're supposed to go for 25 years and 40 years, even though they were 12 years old. This is a very serious thing. Why? Because Morgan stabbed Peyton Lautner 19 times with a 5-inch kitchen knife. Anissa has been... Oh, Craig, I'm hearing all kinds of weird banging in my house, and I'm here alone. It's going to be a fun night here at the Creative Cottage. So the one was released conditionally. The one who didn't actually stab Peyton, she has to wear a GPS monitor, or she did until 2022. Her net access for the rest of her life or the foreseeable future is highly restricted. Morgan is still in a mental institution. She withdrew a petition for release, retrial, appeal denied. This was taken very, very seriously. But when you watch Beware the Slender Man, they show endless fan art of these two girls stabbing this other girl. So Slender Man is this wildfire kind of crazy thing. The girls, Craig, it reminds me of alien abduction. They remember some things, they don't remember other things. They remember hyper details, they have no recollection of other things. And they felt like their wills were given over to this being, Slender Man. So here's some theories. Is it an AI projection that used to be 2D? I think, my feeling is that VR, generative AI, with people putting out all kinds of crazy stuff, some of these 2D things could begin to manifest. John Keel in Fate magazine in 2007 postulated that the Men in Black might be 3D projections. Anybody who's read Tanya and I's book, Watch Out for the Hallway, you know that we had many spectral encounters with Men in Black at the Webb Library. And in 1980, and I didn't find this out until well after our book was published, and we did some writing about our experiences for Rosemary for a book she did. Peter R. Rojewicz was a professor who was at UPenn Library. He was visited by a man in black. And he thought that there were people all around him in the library. And after the visitation, he found out he was all alone. And the man in black asked him what he was researching. Oh, you're researching UFOs. So these things can manifest other than physically. So I
remember the Observers.
Yes, the Observers from Fringe.
Yep, they're the Hat Man. Yep.
Yeah. I think as VR and generative AI begin to take hold, we have to watch, because through so many of these urban legends, Craig, teenagers and 20 somethings are the vulnerable population. They spend the bulk of their time in Horizon, VR chat, virtual reality. It concerns me. It does, because younger people have really rich energy on which to feed. They have really sharp fear, and I'm going to drop the word adrenochrome without giving it any context, and hopefully we'll slip through. But that high level of fear, these guys, please understand, I've studied these. I've experienced quite a few of them. They feed on fear, and they're opportunists. So they will ratchet up your fear. I'm winding down, Craig, on this. These things have probably, for centuries or millennia, they've existed in other guises. But you name something Slender Man, there's something out there, an opportunist entity. It's going to answer to it. If you summon Satan, some dark entity is going to answer. This is why I don't like Ouija boards, because they tend to dial low vibrational things, and they're like, to me, a Ouija board, and there are some people who use them very well, Craig, but for the average user, you're opening a window at 3 a.m. in a bad neighborhood, and you're going, "Yo, I'm having a party at my place."
Yeah,
Who's
pretty
walking
much
down the street at 3 a.m. in a bad neighborhood? Not good people.
Yeah, not the preacher.
So thank you for listening to that. I know it went on.
Well, it is, and kind of just piggybacking on that, especially for everybody, is I think, especially now, we're finding that, especially with social media, it's so easy, especially with how vulnerable and impressionable kids are, that now it's really easy to create this urban legend that'll get spread.
Yeah, in 2 seconds.
Yeah, so it's one of those. It would not be hard for somebody to create, because I think I didn't really research much as I actually wish I had. I think there was several cases. There was one not too long ago where they were basically almost felt that they were doing the bidding.
Yeah.
Of some, and that would turn into the urban legend, where you could have something like that, where it's created through the TikTok, movement, through, Telegram, through one of these actual activities. And so I could see that. My hat is driving me crazy. I feel like it's off.
I was thinking, Craig, we're doing pretty good on time here. And I know you're going to ask another question of the audience. So in Horizon, which is the new name for the metaverse, right? Horizon, which Zuckerberg, he wants everybody living in that thing. That's his major goal, where he can be a god, not even a demigod, but be a god. What if someone created one of these Slender Man type things or whatever, and infused it, interdicted it, where you're in VR, and all of a sudden this freaking thing shows up? That could really screw people up, and if it got into their heads, it started talking to them, so on and so forth. So I was amazed as I was doing this research how topical and serious all of this is. Folks, protect your kids, man.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely one. It's we're all busy. It's like it's easy to do, but it's definitely like just kind of let's occasionally check in, see what's going on. With the kids for sure.
Yeah,
but no, No, go ahead. Fish.
I'm sorry, dude. I spend quite a bit of time in VR with our youngest child. So spends inordinate amount of times there. And a lot of what I see on the walls in the different rooms we go into, and there's more and more beds and cozy areas in almost any room you go into. You're on a train, and there's bedrooms and cozy rooms. And I'm like, what's with all the... She's like, what do you think, Dad? It's like for virtual hookups. And I'm like, this is a dangerous... And she's 24. Yep. She's 24. I mean, my kids aren't young anymore. And
but
when the kids were younger, there was still porn that they were looking at, but it's scary to me. I don't want to lay on it and ruin everything.
No. It's definitely, it's part of the sinister mystery. So Danny Elfman, you mentioned Danny Elfman.
Yes.
Name the movie that he voiced. That's a very popular one. That's a holiday crossover.
Oh, this is a little bit of a trick question, dude. Yep. He sang, but he didn't voice.
That's it's like I said, he did part for Jack.
Yeah, but he didn't do the speaking voice, only the
No.
singing voice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it's one of those.
Guys, for
That's
bonus points, whatever that means, who did voice Jack Skeleton, not
Yeah.
sing him, but
And
who voiced
then
him?
can anybody? He had a really prominent singing role in also another movie that featured Rodney Dangerfield. That's another bonus points if anybody can remember where him and the band performed for the.
Yes.
And if you can name which movie that is.
Speaking of that, and I don't think we see them, I think we only see it. There's also a classic comedy from the 1980s where a dude gets some money and he hires the band to play at his birthday party.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, he was big. He was big in those things. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know that he's totally disavowed that? He doesn't want to talk about it. He says it's embarrassing. They did a theme song for a comedy sci-fi, and he's like, I can't believe we did that video. They talked me into it. I friggin' hate it. And I happen to love his band. I listen to him all the time. I think they're awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the song is Dead Man's Party. I mean, it's like I said, it's fitting for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
of
all
course,
right.
The audience, I guess, is not into this.
Yeah,
Folks,
I was
Oingo,
Go Boingo.
Oingo, treat yourself.
Yep, as I said. Yep, there's the thing. I'm just surprised. Yeah, nobody. Just either they're probably stumped. Yeah. I mean, so I'll help. Just don't want to leave everybody hanging. Yeah. It's Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's right. And the man who voiced Jack, not sang him, but voiced him, was Chris Sarandon.
They sound really similar too, which is pretty, which is amazing.
They do. It's cool when I found it out, but Danny Elfman in Corpse Bride, he does the jangles.
Yep.
This is the story about our own Corpse Bride.
Yeah, they partnered up nice, and that was really good. It was one of those. It'd be interesting to see if they ever do, if they're ever to do a sequel, go to some other holiday.
Yeah.
As I said, so that'd be kind of cool. All right, Jersey Devil,
my home guy.
So hopefully I do this thing. All right, so everybody's seen this. This is obviously this. We'll talk about the origins of this urban legend / some people even throw it into the cryptid, segment but for me, this follows into basically one of the stories. This is a little bit better than a one-off. This isn't like the one-off cryptids where people see it like, it has like one encounter and then you don't ever have stories. This one is, I'd say you could probably, if you were to put it like in categories for me, this would be close to like the Mothman, where there's an original story, and then there's encounters, and then you have the outliers that you just kind of have to, as the saying goes, take it with a grain of salt. You're just like, Chicago, that's a nice little knife for all those people.
Thank you. I'm with you.
They're just, it's people that are just trying to chime in. It's like, I saw something. It's like, put the bottle down. You're okay. Yeah.
When it comes to Chicago.
Yeah, that's enough stir in the pot, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. So 1735 is when our tale begins of the Jersey Devil. Pine Barrens resident Deborah Leeds, otherwise known as Mother Leeds, a mother of a litter of children, 12 kids, finds herself pregnant again with number 13, at which point she proclaims herself out of frustration or distraught and says this kid will be of the devil. This is going to be and this is where some of the claims, especially at that time, that she was a witch and that she made love to the devil who fathered this unholy bastard child. And so these, of course, it's 1735. You got to have the Puritan movement. You in this, and so the tale begins on something. Just say it was a stormy night. Other ones talk about the violent storms, the lightning crashing. The extravagant. With friends gathered around, you got to remember This is 1735, so you need a lot of people to help, because nowadays it'd be a little creepy if you had all the friends around you while you're giving birth to a kid. It's not, So they give birth to the kid. The child seems to be completely normal at the time of birth, and then at which point begins to go through some major changes, where bat wings, the head of a goat, hooven feet, you got like I said, the goat's head and a forked tail. At which point, everybody starts to freak out and stand back aghast. At which point, this thing takes flight, smacks everybody with its forked tail, and flies up the chimney, not to be seen again by Mother Leeds nor the family until later claims of where people have fired cannons, people have tried to take shots. They've claimed that it has killed livestock, that it is, that there's all these tales. And one of the really interesting ones I found too, looking at 1820, Joseph Bonaparte, the brother of Napoleon, who actually owned property in Bordertown, Jersey. So he actually owned property over here, claimed to have seen the creature on his property.
Mhm.
So at the time, was he just trying to cash in, or, did he actually see something? But then this is one of those where it actually kind of goes, just like a lot of stuff, like it's just, you have stories, and then boom, just free fall. I mean, I couldn't find anything that was a credible sighting, probably within the last 50, 60 years.
No, and I think, Craig, and unless I'm wrong, there was about 100-year gap before it was seen like over the pier in Atlantic City or in Philadelphia. I think it was almost 100 years, and they thought like it was a 100-year curse. It had cycled through, everything was good, and then all of a sudden, people started reporting, like masses of people. Like a Spring-Heeled Jack kind of thing. It gets really fascinating. Yeah.
And it's one of those. It's the cool one. It's like especially like these creatures that I like, is it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It's a really cool story, and it's great for business, especially like the Mothman. I mean, whether you believe in Mothman or not, Point Pleasant, I can't wait to go see there and shove a quarter in Mothman's butt. Just to be one of the people that does it. That he does. It's like people are like, and I'm like, no, it's become a thing. It's to try to fit a quarter in the statue. It's like, I don't even know how. Do you know how that started? I've never heard how.
No, it's the buns of steel on the Bob Roach statue. People take pictures. They rub the butt like you rub Buddha's belly, or the Blarney
They try to put a quarter in between the cheeks.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, you reminded Joe Red Miles, who has an intimate relationship. Hey, if you guys go to Point Pleasant, put a quarter in his butt. Go ahead, but then play my signature escape room down there.
Yeah, I was
escape room. Yeah.
Hurricane Milton, killed that opportunity for me.
It'll be there for a while.
So I'm gonna have to go back. So yeah, it's this. And what I'll do is I'll go. It's like I said, if people can get us to 1,000, I can even go live on here on this channel, instead of broadcast and stuff. But it's like, well, I'll for sure be doing it, on our Three Beards, my Three Beards thing. So that's a
very, very cool.
But yeah, that's the Jersey Devil.
You did an awesome job.
Thank you,
the only
sir.
thing I want to say to people is that the Pine Barrens, if you've ever seen, guys, the X-Files episode that they originally didn't want to air, and the kids are playing at the ball field and the blood bubbles up, and then there's the whole storyline. The Pine Barrens are very, very isolated. There are families that have lived there that are isolationists who do not want to be bothered. So it's a creepy, very barren, and I can't even imagine. Jersey was one of those places in the early 1700s, like on the Ohio River in Point Pleasant and in Parkersburg, where flocks of birds would fly over and block out the sun for minutes at a time. A very, very isolated place. And Craig, I know a few people, including my own father, who profess to have seen the Mothman. I mean, not the Mothman, the Jersey Devil in the early 1980s. So
that's
exactly. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. Yeah, you got lost on Pine Barrens. Yeah,
and that's the one. Yeah, enough.
And you see this
that's like everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, and you see a lot of that stuff where it's that Peacock family episode. That's one that it's really hard to find too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the family one episode of X Files is that's
Yeah.
one that's pretty much been because it was so disturbing to a lot of people.
Yeah. That's, you know what? I'm doing a lot of supernatural stuff. What I have up here on the screen about indigenous people are always trying to link these tales to indigenous tribes. It's happening all the time in the Southwest on Route 66 to sexy things up, some of the ghost stories and all that kind of thing. It's just an unfortunate part of it. But growing up in Jersey with the Jersey Devil lore, they didn't pull indigenous people in it. So, you know, there's all types out there, right, Craig?
Well, it's that's where those things like where I was saying, like there's categories, kind of like the Van Meter visitor. You know, there's these ones where it's like the one time off one. So I hear where it's not tied in any lore. It's like, according to this one, you know, the origin of this story was 1735. So it was origin into would have been settlers. It would have been somebody that was, you know, colonized over from the old world over here, would have been one of those families that's in one of the colonies. And so, yeah, this is one of those tales where it doesn't seem to have borrowed any trope or any tale from an indigenous tribe.
Yeah.
This is one of those where it seems to be kind of a whole separate by itself, kind of like how the Mothman, you know, those type of things.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things too, is I kind of like, it's like there almost needs to be, you know, a canon. You know, we need to have a canonical, you know, we need to have a conference where everybody comes through and we put categories to these creatures.
Yeah.
You know, it just bring all the stuff, and that's and that's one of those things. It's like one of, you know, Ryan talks about all the time. You know, it's his pet peeve is everybody calls everything a skinwalker, and it drives him insane.
Exactly. We can only control
everything's a Wendigo or a skinwalker, and his mind's like.
Yeah, because the best way to keep our sanity and keep doing good work is to concentrate on our piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we try to do the best job we can. So
that takes you to you.
Well, no, give us another survey question.
All right. So this one's going to be a tough one. All right, this is going to divide everybody. Michael Myers, or it said it's. You know, you've got these camps where they you know, so is it Michael Myers or Jason? Who's the better? You know, who's better? Like I said, who's you know, you have to get rid of one, Michael Myers or Jason. As I said, there's no, I'll take both. There's no, nope. It's like one has to go. It's the battle royale. You know, which one? Does it, you know, come down to the Mike? Does it come down to and here's another bonus one. Does the people that may not know this, Mike Myers, what was his mask made from?
Yeah,
the Mike Myers mask. This is one that, you know, it's like a lot of people know this one, but there's still those people that have no clue.
Yeah.
You know, and then once they get it, once you hear it, then you see it. You can see every time you see Mike Myers, you see it. You know, after that, you realize, like, oh my God, that's what it is.
This is all that I'm gonna say for now. I listened on loop today in honor of Halloween, all 4 John Carpenter soundtracks from the 4 Halloween movies that he wrote the soundtracks for. So yeah. Joe,
a couple people got it.
Yep, there you go. So Joe, yeah.
Yep, you know, Cisco got it. You know, Ryan's got it, and it's just that's who it is. It's William Shatner, and they altered it, and that became Mike Myers thing. It's a lot of stuff we can do. It's not a sinister mystery, but it's one of those things you could really do an entire show about how Hollywood has taken things that would, you know, you don't realize. And then it's just like they turn it into this thing, and you're like, oh my God, that's, you know, it's amazing what they, you know, the little just things that by chance, you know, because they needed something and somebody ran with it, and they're like, it's perfect. And yeah, all it is just an altered, you know, William Shatner mask, you know. So so that one's pretty good.
I agree with Cisco Lady Liberty. I do love The Thing. I also too, when we just watched it a couple nights ago, I really like In the Mouth of Madness, being a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love In the Mouth of Madness. It's such a good, fun, and terrific soundtrack. Heavy guitar. Really, really, really good soundtrack. So, all right. So this will be a quick one. Black-eyed children.
Yes.
Black-eyed children. So they have no visceral sclera, iris, or pupil, just pure black eyes. And some priests have put forth the theory why the black eyes, because these are demonic beings that have taken human form, and God will show a corruption. No demon can take a human form and be perfect. There's always a tell. So that seems to be Catholic reasons for that. They often appear between the ages of 6 and 16. So, you know, Stephen King to just about everyone. Demonic kids are scary AF. Also, too, are the black eyes a way to show us that they are soulless? If the eyes are the window to the soul and they have no souls, do the eyes show up as black? So the thing about black-eyed children is they provoke a level of fear in people that is off the charts. Like they freak people out badly. In a word, they're sinister. They're
Real quick, I got to address Ryan.
Oh,
I don't know where Jeepers Creepers came from. I do know that the person that I think, what was his name? Victor Salva, I think is who was director. He was inspired by Hitchcock. I do know that. I'm not sure where he got the actual thing from. So sorry.
No, cool. Right, jump right on it. Yeah, and that was, he said you better know it. So yeah. So they're related to men and women in black, shadow figures, the DJINN. I won't speak their name. I'll just spell them. But all seem to be, their function, black-eyed children, seems to be to intrude upon and mess with people and to suppress hard evidence collected by researchers. That's the men, women in black sort of connection. When black-eyed children are around, there tend to be mechanical malfunctions of computers, hardware. There's illness. They make emails and photos go missing. Nick Redfern has done quite a lot of research on these guys. They also show, too, as you would expect, in isolated or liminal spaces such as parking lots, gas stations, rural roadsides. They're often wearing old-fashioned or oddly unseasonal clothing. Another link to sort of the trickster energy of the men in black. And the worst part, folks, is if they show up in your home, at your home. They can't show up in your home. Here's the thing. They will request help. They're a little kid. Please, may I have some more? They show up in hoodies. Oh, my mom and dad, we broke down and I need to use the phone. Like vampires, do not let them in your house. Do not let them in your car. The stories of when you let them in are horrific.
Are they always in pairs?
They do tend to show up, in pairs or threes, which is also, Craig, thank you for that, like the men in black. The men in black tend to show up as pairs or trios. Yeah. Great point. That's what I got for you on Black-Eyed Children.
Because I've always been curious about, like, especially when it comes to the black, why they choose, I'm just like trying to figure out how to phrase this, why they choose the victim that they do. Is it wrong place at the wrong time? Is it something that these people have been involved in? I've never seen if anybody's ever correlated. I'm
going to take a stab at it based on my research. I think it's both, Craig. These dark entities are opportunists. So if you call them, they will come. If you go into that neighborhood at 3:00 in the morning, you're more like, the liminal bad neighborhood at 3:00 in the morning. But because of the researcher angle, like Men in Black will typically, they're there for a reason. You just saw a UFO. You're talking too much about ghosts. When Tanya and I were writing the Watch Out for the Hallway book, it seemed like there were some forces, some entities didn't want that information out there. And we were sort of told, get this information out there through its spirit box early on. So I think they're all three. I think, and the fourth part, and we talk a lot about this in our book, Roommates from Beyond, How to Live in a Haunted Home. If you're depressed, if you are angry, if you show that vulnerability, they will be attracted to that energy because they're opportunists. and this comes back, I think, to the Hat Man, to shadow people. You got to watch yourself, because the 4 levels of a haunting is manifestation, infestation, oppression, and possession. So when Tanya and I were doing a lot of field work, you want to get in there in the manifestation stage, figure what the hell's going on, because once it starts to infest, it wears you down. By the time it's oppressed you, it can own you. It can own you. So that was more of a long-winded answer than you asked for.
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's perfect. Yeah. So, all right. Question. All right. I was trying to figure out how to best word this one, but what we'll do this, we'll just kind of go with which one was better, Leprechaun or Pumpkinhead? So that's
Leprechaun's got Jennifer Aniston. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Leprechaun or Pumpkinhead? Which one? Which one? Come on, that's on everybody. It's like, for those that haven't seen them, this is when we're in kind of the I'd say almost the silly horror films of the 80s. Yeah, it's where
Pumpkinhead's crushing it. I guess I'll have to watch that. I've never seen it.
It's what this kind of goes up there with, when you have Critters, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Pumpkinhead, Leprechaun, Gremlins was around the same time. You had all these ones where I honestly think that the people were just, people liked this genre, and they were just coming up with some of the most, they just like ridiculous thing. I mean, like, who thinks of like the, Pumpkinhead? I mean, just you go through these things, you're just like, they work, but it's just some of the ones are just, they're just, hey, you're jumping ahead there, King.
Yeah,
we're not there
Lance
yet.
Hendrickson. I love Lance Hendrickson.
Yep.
Dude, so Critters. We've come for the Krites.
Yep. It's just one of those things. It's just, you look at these things like, they're basically killer tribbles.
Yeah.
From Star Trek. It's like,
there you go.
But that's the demon, like you said, they've got some really cool ones, but it's like, the premise behind them. I mean, I thought the Killer Clowns from Outer Space was just a ridiculous one. I mean, it's just, I got to jump to the next one, but last thing, it's like, for me, like Chucky, never scary, because I'm sorry, a 2-foot doll comes running at me, I'm field golden that sucker right clean out of the house. I mean, it's going to be, it's like, it's good. Yeah. I'm not too worried about Chucky. Yeah.
You know who's much scarier than Chucky? Meg, what's her name? That's his bride, his companion. You know who I'm talking about? The actress. She's got the high, breathy voice.
Oh yes, yeah, I know.
Meg.
I can't think of the name.
Yeah, her sister, I think, is also an actress.
Yeah,
she's
Tanya's like, Killer Clowns is so bad it's good. I know. It's one of those.
We own it.
Yeah,
let me put that up there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Meg Tilly. Thank you.
Thank you. That's
she's
all right. So let's I'm kind of butchering this thing, but it's La Llorona. I think is how you pronounce it.
2 L's is ya.
Yeah. So La Llorona. The Weeping Woman. This is international. So this is from Mexico is where this comes from. And this is the group of urban legends that goes around. When you put this out there, you said like the Crying Bridge. This is the one where you're near some body of water, and there's the entity, the woman that somebody that is in mourning, that there's loss in here. And the short version of this one is this beautiful woman from Mexico fell in love with a Spaniard. And he fathered 3 children with her. Well, she was always after him for, to be married, and he always just kept putting it off, saying, no. Well, he ends up marrying somebody else. And what happens in this one, and King, you let me know if I butcher this in any way. So, it's like, but this, so she takes these children, and then after finding out that this Spaniard has married, she is so distraught that she actually takes her children down to the river and drowns them, and then proceeds to kill herself. And so now there's ones, as people, King might know, like where it's actually that. I'm not sure of the location that this happens, but it's reported that when you come to this area of the river, that people have heard, the wailing cries of this distraught, woman, that has found out that she's been rejected by her love, and it's not only so much that she's in mourning from there, but it's also she's not at peace because of the act that she did of killing her 3 children, and that's what's prevented her from being at rest. And so this one is, and I think this is one that has been this. It's kind of the cool thing about Hollywood. They take stories and they twist it, and so there's always they use these things, but they take this, but they'll take that general idea and they'll make a completely different movie about it, just on how it is. But this is one that there's been a lot. That's kind of those things. It's and I don't know if it's because it's Spanish, like it translates over there, like people have taken the story over there and it's told there. And this is where we said at the beginning of the show, it's like, does it manifest that way? But because people keep telling it, now it's established itself somewhere there, because people keep telling about some bridge in Spain, and now this has happened. So now you have it in 2 locations. So do you end up with some entity that kind of opportunity to there, it shows stuff. But yeah, so that's the weeping woman, La Llorona, if I'm saying that correctly, hopefully.
I think that you are. There's a bridge in Southwest Pennsylvania. Our schedules didn't go, but there's the thing now where you take your car, you honk your horn, you say a certain thing 3 times, your car stalls, you can hear the cries, and where supposedly other distraught women have thrown their babies into the water. It's not just in Southwest PA. Yeah, some pretty creepy, I don't know. Things catch on and everybody wants to the tulpas, there are some very, very I invite you guys all to go check out my episode on tulpas, but there are some pretty compelling cases of people actually manifesting thought forms. The golem is a form of that. The interesting thing with tulpas is that after they've been around for a while, once they've manifested, they start to act very independently.
Yeah,
which is really freaked people out. There's also Alan Moore, the graphic artist who did V for Vendetta, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, From Hell. He apparently met one of his characters in a tavern. I think Stephen King had some experiences with characters he created, and then he put himself in the Dark Tower. My alter ego, Planner Forthright, when his book came out, that I sort of told his story. I saw this, Craig. We were living in the holler in West Virginia at the time. I signed the book deal, and as I was driving out, like a 6-foot version of this was just sitting on the side of the road by the holler. Now, was it my own subconscious? Yeah, it could have been. I mean, talk about being responsible researchers. We don't know. Our own imaginations are very powerful things. And kids have imaginary friends, but are they imaginary friends? And, as adults, sometimes we talk to people who aren't there. I know I do. I'm a writer. I'm a creator. I do that. Right. My characters talk to me and go, no, I don't want to go to the Bahamas. I want to go to,
I think there's a lot of people, like I said, the writers and stuff, where they're basically, they almost have an interaction with their characters. It's like they wait for the character to tell them how the story is to unfold.
Yeah. And when I talk to writers, it's a real thing, and you don't listen to your characters at your own peril. But it's like, we've talked about it, Craig. It's like dreams. I do believe that every character in our dreams, most of the time, they're all different kinds of dreams. are
Yeah.
aspects of our own personality. So I own all my characters in my stories. They're all aspects of me.
This is the last one I got for everybody here.
All
I
right.
said you can come at me. Pinhead is a much better character than Krueger.
Pinhead
Freddy-
or
Pinhead.
all day long.
The Pinhead is a much better horror character than Freddy Krueger.
Oh,
I said
to
so.
me,
You know,
100%.
so like curious about everybody else. You know, Hellraiser or Nightmare on Elm Street. Which one are you going? I'm Hellraiser.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's Clive Barker, right?
Mhm.
I
And then
love.
I haven't seen the new one yet, but I've heard it's really good.
I have a couple of his short story collections. I think they're all called Buckets of Blood or Bucket of Blood. Dude
Yep.
could write. Joe likes it because Pinhead speaks in Shakespearean phrases, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, there you go.
I think for me, it's like, you know, my personal thing is like, especially, you know, with Halloween, I do not like the realistic horror movies. Hostel, The Hills Have Eyes. I don't like anything where that abandoned little shack that I'm driving past the road could have 5 women chained up. I can't do those. I can't do this movie. I mean, I can watch Silence of the Lambs, no problem. But for some reason, like the movies like those ones, you know, what was the one where they went into underground in the cave, and the name, you know, torture porn.
Here you go. Oh yeah, that's right. You can see it without me putting it on the screen. Is that what you're talking about? Not my thing either.
No, it's like the realistic, like, you know, where like somebody's kidnapped and, you know, and you basically you're killed, you know, that Night of 1,000 Corpses, you know, those ones I can't do. Like those things, but I can all day long. I can watch stuff like Hellraiser and things like this. Like for me, Nightmare on Elm Street was never scary. It was almost over the top ridiculous.
Oh,
you know, it's just, it was, you know, in those type of ones, there's not really any fear. Like I haven't watched The Terrifier yet. I've heard that one's pretty gory. You know, that character. I know some people that absolutely love that new character, The Terrifier. But that's, for me and those in the general. But yeah, there's I think a lot of the ones where it's based like the realistic, like, and that's where it's like dichotomies. I don't know why I hate this one, but I don't mind like the ones that are based off the true, like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Those
I have a soft spot.
Those don't bother me.
Serial killers. I'll watch anything with serial killers.
You know, like I could watch something based off of like Ted Bundy. Like I said, that's not going to bother me. But for some reason, people being kidnapped and having their Achilles heel severed as they fall into state, you know, freaks me. You know, I'm like, blah, I can't do it.
No, cutting off their own limbs to escape a room.
Saw. I can't do Saw.
Yeah, these the trucker serial killers, also the hobos riding the rails was the precursor of that on the railroads. I think Anthony Hopkins did a movie. I think it's called Victim Zero. But yeah, that's a very, very, I've
got a few people that have told me this, and I'll show you like with my hat off, and they say that I absolutely should do this character sometime as Halloween. They said that I could pull it off, and I'll put it up here on this. I'll put it up here on the screen.
I'm looking for it.
Yep, it's right here because this one. All right, why don't you put it up?
Oh, whoa. Yeah, dude.
So if I was to put you know, like I said, get the little top hat.
Wow. Interesting. Now, I don't watch those kind of movies. What is that? Saw?
He's from Night of 1,000 Corpses, and I think American. Is it American Rejects? I think it was the other one that he's from.
The
Devil's Rejects. Yeah. Yep. Well, Sid, but yeah, that's what I've had a few people tell me that I could pull off. I could pull that one off.
Great. Oh, Devil's Rejects.
Devil's Rejects.
Right.
Yep.
The soundtrack for House of 1,000 Corpses, Rob Zombie. That is a killer soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah, there's an extended piece that's awesome. And where did Joe say about that House of a Thousand Corpses is retelling of Grimm's fairy tales? In that
Yep.
extended soundtrack sequence, you hear that. Yeah. Come play with me in my rabbit hutch.
Yes. That's a lot. There's a lot of them. And I think that's one of those. I think they might have done it, but I'm surprised that they haven't touched more on like the Rumpelstiltskin as a trope, for more movies, because that one would be more of, fall into that horror thing. Like it would really do that one. So
yeah.
I'll never look at Craig the same way again. I know. That's why I said, with a bald head, bald.
Do the smile. There you go. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd hire you. What was I gonna say? There's Puckwidgies and there's the Connecticut Melonheads, and there's so many of these interesting creatures that have yet to really be mined. So, the past year or so, especially the past 6 months, I've really become the supernatural road trip guy because of my work on Route 66. So I'm doing all kinds of podcasts and presentations and things. So I thought that I would end with a little tour of the portals or gates to hell in the United States. So those of you who want a road trip, I am not responsible. So I'm just going to go very quickly. Go very through this. Stull Cemetery in Kansas. The Devil's Gate in Pasadena, California. Now, this one is interesting because the Devil's Gate Dam is where Jack Parsons, the Antichrist superstar, JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and he's the dude who was a student of Aleister Crowley, and he got together with L. Ron Hubbard and did the Babylon workings, trying to create the kid and all. So that's Devil's Gate Dam. That's a pretty serious occult place. There's Helltown here in my Ohio, which is abandoned settlement in Boston Township with satanic connections and portals in the forest. Dudleytown, Connecticut, the Village of the Damned, which is a ghost town with a cursed history. The Seven Gates of Hell in York County, Pennsylvania. The odd thing is there are only 2 physical gates, but there's 7 liminal gates to help, probably one for each of Dante's circles. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, sprawling dark passageways. Pope Lick Trestle Bridge in Kentucky, home to the Pope Lick monster. So there's another interesting monster. Kentucky's interesting, guys. Hopkinsville goblins and all that. Kentucky has large quartz deposits. And I believe, Craig, in my research, geography plays a big part in manifestations of portals, alternate dimensions, cryptids, interdimensional beings. Just wanted to point that out. The Devil's Tramping Ground in Chatham County, North Carolina. Barren circle in the woods where nothing grows. So that reminds me of fairy circles. That reminds me of saucer nests. There's great overlap, folks, between cryptids, interdimensionals, shadow beings, DJINN, and things like this, these portals, where these circles, these natural circles appear, where strange things go on. The energies are very, very strange. And a shout out to Jersey, where I'm from, the Gates of Hell, Clifton, New Jersey, drainage tunnel covered in graffiti, satanic rituals. I will tell you guys that when I was in high school in the mid 80s, there were some satanic ritual stuff going on around where I lived, north of the Pine Barrens, and a guy that was a couple years ahead of me was murdered under very, very ugly and suspicious circumstances. So the FBI, Craig, will tell you, maybe this is something we should do in the future. The FBI will tell you that there are no satanic cults. It's all blown out of proportion. But some of my research and some of my experiences, some of the things I've seen, I don't know if Tanya is still in the chat room or not. We went out to one of the igloos. We had heard some dark stuff was going on. The igloos in the TNT area in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, home of the Mothman. And there was a plaster head broken in pieces of a hog. Full size, like hog's head, plaster, and some other things, black candles and things like that. So these things do exist. Don't be.
Yeah, I think there definitely is. I think there's still a lot that from one of my favorite movies, The Ninth Gate.
Yeah.
Is one of my favorite things, mumbo jumbo, jumbo, where it's thing is that there's a lot of people that it's their way to get their freak on. They're just that's their kink, and they think this is just it's like this is kind of like their way to be a goth, type, they're whatever it is, and this is their kind of this is just kind of like their edgy thing, like I'm just pretending to be. But you actually do have the people that truly go through the ritualistic. I mean, they actually, it's legitimate for the, what they're doing, that they're actually serious. And so those are the ones that you have to watch out for. I think that just the kids that are going through here, but when you get to you find some of these things where you can definitely tell it was a ritualistic thing that was done here. This wasn't just some group that went, drew a quick pentagram, even, that didn't even do the research on what actually, the fact that the pentagram doesn't really work, people. That's a Hollywood thing. Just let you know. Shh. Tell the quiet part out loud. The pentagram isn't really a thing. That's Hollywood.
Even if you put the 3 points up.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of like, this thing. It's when you get to the part, it's not really, that's one of those things. That's kind of like people just think, okay, I'm going to do it. Yeah, you really don't see it's the other pieces around it that are the actual thing. That's it. Yeah, that's the quiet part out loud.
So, yeah, and what's even worse, Craig? I actually didn't know that. I thought an inverted one actually, where you have the. No, I'm sorry, I've got it backwards. When you deny the Trinity and put the two devil horns, I thought that counts.
Yeah. It's kind of like that, but it's one of those. It falls into the same thing too. It's like, what happens if you're wearing the pentagram like normal, and then you lean down and pick something up? It's inverted. It's just, it's the type that it's one of those things. It's the symbol itself. It's what goes along with it too. And it's right. Like you said, if you just go draw the thing right now, nothing's going to happen. Like I said, I've got books about demonic names behind me, but if I go through all the steps, then we got something else. But just those things right here. Yeah. Just, pieces of paper with print on them.
I will tell you, we talk about, we talk about Michael Hall, and Tanya and I were on Michael Hall's show in the middle of the night. It was 1:32 a.m. We were talking about our books and stuff, and all of a sudden in the chat room, in all caps, this person was throwing up demonic names and demonic language, and it was creepy. Tanya and I were trying to ignore it. We had a little issue with the lights during the show. It was radio only. But when we went up to our room that night, there was a shadow, there was a winged shadow, something in the corner of the room. I've rarely been as frightened. We didn't sleep. We went to bed at like 3:00. We were wound up, from the show and all of that. Anyway, when you do those late night shows, it's hard to just go to sleep after 3 hours. Yeah, and I also want to say too, with the satanic stuff, people don't know what they're calling in.
Yeah,
things will answer. Just to kind of loop back, folks, be so careful. It's not even that you're raising Lucifer or you don't know what, but there are things out there. I can tell you from experience and from interviewing dozens of people that will feed on your energy, that want you to feel oppressed, depressed, anxious. One word that we're not allowed to use anymore that begins with SUI.
Unalive.
Because you're a feast. You become, Tanya said it, scariest attack we've ever experienced. And Tanya, I'm glad you brought up Ouija boards. I brought those up when I was talking about Slender Man, that low frequency thing. So Craig, you want to hit him with one last
one last one. Who's your favorite vampire? Mine is Gary Oldman. Bram Stoker's Dracula. He is the, I don't do the glam, the sparkly. I don't do any of that stuff. For me, it's Gary Oldman's, Bram Stoker.
Nice.
That's
Chris Lee is great. I like the Hammer movies. You know, they're campy, but they're fun. Vampires. Yeah, I love Gary Oldman. We watch that all the time. And there's a total
It's just
commit. I
something
have
about that
crossed
shaving,
oceans
like
of
that, you know,
time.
that shaving scene when he cuts him and he's, you know, he licks the blade real quick. Yeah, that's the one. Like I said, for me, just, I mean, there's Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves. I mean, it had a great cast. I mean, it was just well shot, and I mean, that's, as I said, for me, that's what it. We go for that. But
Joe Redmile says Claes Bang, who was in the Stephen Knight 3-part
Mhm.
Dracula, which the first part was brilliant, the second part was a little iffy, and the third part was terrible. But
they
he
mailed
made
it
a
in.
very good vampire. Ben Cross in the Dark Shadows remake in the 90s, pretty good vampire. Klaus Kinski in the remake, the German remake of, and I'm forgetting, Joe Redmiles probably knows, the Werner Herzog, his remake of Nosferatu. Klaus Kinski is
Nosferatu.
really good. Raul Julia's Dracula. Tanya and I just watched Frank Langella in Dracula. Frank Langella is a very sensual Dracula. Who else? Who else is really good as Dracula? You know, Dracula 2000 with what the hell is his name? The Irish actor. He was in 300. I'm going to be 56 on Monday. You sure as hell can tell. My memory.
Oh yeah, no, it's.
What the
I mean,
heck
then
is
you got
his
the
name?
latest rendition of Dracula too. Is Nicolas Cage and Renfield.
I was a little disappointed in them. I thought that movie was pushing some politics that I didn't care for, but he was fun as hell.
Yeah, that's
he was fun as hell. You agree with that? I felt there were some politics that were being pushed.
That's been my biggest thing with Hollywood lately. Is it's, you know, like I said, it's one of those things like anything. It's like, I'm not going to get into the tropes for a lot of people, but it's just, for me, there's no place for agenda in your storytelling. Right. Because it's one of those things. It's like, the reason we go to a movie is for escape. I'm not looking for reality in the thing. It's like, I don't need you to check boxes to make a story. Craft a story. You know, I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. And I think that's one of the ones where some of the I think that's why a lot of us, we go back to, like I said, the 80s horror, and we go to these things because there's no overt, you know, understory behind these things. It's just critters from outer space that are killing people, clowns, you know, pumpkin head. Just that's the thing. It's just, I think that's one of those things. Like some of these movies, it's like, it's supposed to be an escape. And I think that's one of the things when you get to stuff like Renfield, where it's like, you can tell there's something in here. They've got to make sure they put these scenes in here because that way somebody's happy that this was included. And you're like, we don't need this. We just want to escape. That's right. All right. So do we want to tell them what we're doing for the show, or do we want to still keep it a secret?
I just want to William Dafoe in Shadow of the Vampire. Shadow of the Vampire is great. Craig, have you ever seen that? Nicolas Cage produced it.
Yeah, I never have seen that one. I said, Maggie, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Treat yourself, brother. It's
the Blob.
What if the guy who played Count Orlok in Nosferatu, Max Schreck, really was a vampire and made a deal with the director, who's played exquisitely by John Malkovich, that as long as he could feed on people on set, he would play the part of the vampire in Murnau's film. It's brilliant. It's absolutely film. The 80s version of The Blob. Is that Carpenter? Or
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one. It's like I said, I know which movie he's talking about. Yeah, those ones are good. It's That's one of the things that they really butchered with the latest Mummy, Tom Cruise. Your failure is that you didn't you killed the franchise thing where they were going to come back and redo all these movies. So we probably would have had a new Creature from the Blob. We would have had all these things that would have come out, these new ones, but they absolutely killed it with the Mummy. And that was just.
I agree, because I love the Brendan Fraser movies. That
Yeah, so-
writer was terrific, and they're fun, and there's comedy, and there's Rachel Weisz. There's Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser at the top of his game, and they were fun. Steven Summers wrote those movies. I also like Van Helsing, and a lot of people don't. Oh, Richard Roxburgh in Van Helsing. He's a pretty damn good vampire.
Yeah. I put that in there.
Yeah. I forget what I was gonna say. But one more hack, guys. Angus McGregor, the Scottish pirate, wishing you happy on Halloween there. Or Samhain.
Happy Halloween. Samhain. And then, like I said, so no, keep it a secret.
Is it okay if we don't tell him?
Mm-hmm.
Guy, you just gave him a little hint. Go back, guys, and watch that frame, freeze it, and you might. So we're gonna do. It's not political.
Yeah, we don't have to tell him. It's not political.
But it is a big mystery. It may be serial killer. It could be a cult. It's definitely weird. It involves water.
Yes.
So really, in 2 weeks, mark your calendars. I think it's November 6th, Craig.
No. So I think the 13th.
It's the 14th. I'm sorry.
14th.
It's the 14th. And guys, we are debuting a brand new opening. It still will come through the Into the Outer Realms because it's easier in the way. It's just easier, and it's set up that way through StreamYard and all. But we won't be playing the intro for Into the Outer Realms. We won't be numbering Into the Outer Realms episodes anymore. Only the Outer Realms episodes will carry that brand. Sinister Mystery is going to be its own thing, and we have a new opening that we've been working months on, Craig?
Yep, months. Yeah, we got that. And I said that, and then we have a new outro. We'll have a new intro. We're gonna have we're hoping that it's gonna be so definitely bring a friend, share it, mark it on your calendar. Yeah. Gotta be there.
And thank you. Our numbers are going consistently up. So thank you.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of people that don't participate in the chat room. They just like to watch. Craig, a lot of people I know watch it after the fact. So 3 or 4 or 5 days later, they'll contact me and say, I caught the episode.
And we appreciate that. Thank you, everybody.
Crew, some of the Three Beard crew will watch it on my Every Day is a Story and put a lot of comments, which helps the algorithms.
Yes.
So
the comments later on. So if you watch it later and you want to make a comment, by all means, please do. Because like I said, one, we'll see it and we'll comment, we'll respond to it, too. But it's just, it helps because then YouTube realizes that this isn't just like a one-time thing with a live that they watch. Then if people keep doing it, then that it'll be, hey, if you like this show, maybe you'll like this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So what's the vote? You can override me. You want to tell them or not?
Now we'll wait. We'll keep it a secret.
All right, guys.
They'll see it on the banner. So like I said, it's going to be one. It's like a continuation, a little bit of tonight.
It really is, brother.
Yes.
It really, really is. And we got good stuff, guys. We got the Star Wars Defense Initiative. We're going to do a special on the power of think tanks in setting American policy. We got cool stuff coming up. We got cool stuff coming up. So thank you all. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody. And don't be sinister, but stay mysterious.
Well done, sir.